What's up, friends? So in this video, I'm going to be reacting, I guess, to the new Army's PT test, or the ACFT, the Army Combat Fitness Test. There's a lot of kind of misconceptions about it, a little bit of, things that people aren't quite understanding about it. Even myself, I didn't really fully understand it, really. And this isn't new. This has been announced, I think, back in October. They already announced it, so this isn't a new thing. But I'm just now kind of covering it because a lot of people have been asking me, what do I think about the new Army Combat Fitness Test? So this is my reaction video to it, and we'll kind of go through some video clips because the Army does a great kind of job of explaining it in a video that they have, as well as another video that we'll also get into a little bit as well, that also gives a little bit better breakdown of the Army Combat Fitness Test. So we'll kind of go through it, talk a little bit about it, I'll give my thoughts on it, and kind of let you know what I think about the new PT test. So a little bit about this PT test. This is a new PT test that they're going to be implementing. It's not immediately taking effect. There's units that are going to start doing it here soon, but it doesn't actually fully take effect until sometime in a few years before it'll fully take effect. I think 2020, I think was what the timeline was. We'll probably see inside here in the video here in a minute though, but I forget the actual timeline. But some people, want to know, should I be getting ready for this PT test? Should I still do the old one? The old one will still be around for a little bit longer, for a few more years before they kind of move to this one. Some people don't like this new PT test for different reasons. Some people like the new PT test. I'm a little bit, kind of iffy. I like certain parts of it and I don't like certain other parts of it, but we'll kind of explain as we go through it. So let's look at this video first from the United States Army, from their official YouTube page or their YouTube channel, and we'll kind of look at their breakdown of the ACFT.
The Army is introducing a new physical fitness test. The current test, the Army Physical Fitness Test, has been the test of record since it was developed and implemented in 1980.
And I think that's an important thing to kind of note. We've been using the same PT test since 1980. Before that, veterans were doing different PT tests where they were in full uniform. They had like an obstacle course. And then in 1980, they brought about the one that they're still kind of using that'll be phased out. We're doing the push-ups, the sit-up, and the 2-mile run. And, that's, a little bit easier maybe to some of the people that were the old school, that were doing full uniform in that kind of obstacle course type of training or type of physical fitness test. And for a while, the Army has been talking about trying to change it up from that test. And it's been in the works since I was back in the Army, like I would say like maybe 2008 or something like that. I remember hearing about it at first. And it's taken this long for them to finally find something that they think will work. And I guess that's the answer, is the Army Combat Fitness Test. So let's check out a little bit more.
The new test, the Army Combat Fitness Test, or ACFT, consists of 6 events that are based on tasks a soldier might encounter in training or combat. The ACFT tests all of the major muscle groups and provides an accurate assessment of a soldier's physical readiness for military duties.
So the main thing with that, when people first started hearing that, hey, there's going to be multiple events now, is that it was going to be very time consuming. I think later in the video addresses how long it'll take, and it didn't end up being the case, that it's not going to take a super long time like it originally sounded like. Like, oh man, there's going to be 5 events now instead of 3. It's going to take like half the day to do this dang PT test. So that's actually not the case.
The events are completed in order and take 50 minutes or less for an individual soldier to complete. The uniform for the ACFT is the Army Physical Fitness uniform.
So it doesn't actually take that long. 50 minutes, they say, per soldier to be able to kind of complete it. I'm not sure how they'll kind of really work it. If it'll probably be all at once kind of thing, but I don't know. Maybe they have kind of different phases where, the first 16 people are going at this event, and then once they're done with that event, then they move on to the next event, and then another 16 jump in. I don't know how they'll kind of work it, but we'll probably find out a little bit more information about that. But now it kind of breaks down what is involved in each event, and also how that kind of relates to real world, because that was also the big thing with the old PT test, was they were like, sure, you can do a bunch of push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run, but how does that really relate to what you might need to do in a combat situation? And that's how they're kind of trying to address this new PT test, is to try to address those kind of more scenario-based kind of things to better allow you to be physically fit to be able to do these different things that you might have to encounter in a combat situation.
The events are the 3-repetition maximum deadlift, the standing power throw, the hand release push-up, the sprint drag carry, the leg tuck, and the 2-mile run. The 3-repetition maximum deadlift is the first event. The event is a test of lower body muscular strength, coordination, and balance.
So the big thing is going to be equipment, I think. That's one of the big negatives, I think, about this fitness test is the equipment. Each unit is going to have to get things like these pieces of equipment to be able to do the fitness test. So that could be a little bit of a challenge. It's going to cost money. I guess they have it budgeted out to how much it's going to cost per unit. But it's not as simple as before with the PT test where you just grab a clipboard, a score sheet, and a stopwatch and do a PT test. Now you have to do a little coordination with this equipment to get the equipment at the location of where you want to do the PT test. It's probably also a lot harder to do like we would do practice PT tests to kind of practice for one, where you do it just internally with the squad. Probably going to have a little bit of a difficult time trying to do that with these. So,
Soldiers are required to lift the maximum weight possible 3 times under control, replicating a litter carry or the movement of
and that's kind of how it
supplies.
kind of phases into combat.
Is the second event. The event is a test of explosive power and coordination in the legs and arms. Soldiers are required to throw a 10-pound ball up and backwards over the head for maximum distance. The event replicates the movement required to assist a buddy over an obstacle.
So the one that I remember hearing that people were kind of concerned with this one is they're worried about someone throwing the ball and then hitting another soldier, but you just got to stand clear of where they're supposed to be throwing the balls. I don't think there's going to be people like out there, standing around just not knowing what's going on. But I know that's one of the gripes I have seen from some people that I've talked to where they're like, I can see it now. Someone's going to throw these dang medicine balls. It's going to nail somebody in the head.
The power required to leap across a ditch. The hand release push-up is the third event. It tests endurance in the muscles of the shoulders, arms, and trunk. The number of successfully completed repetitions is counted over a 2-minute period. The event is similar to hand and arm movements required in combatives or repetitive loading of ammunition and supplies.
So I know it seems like it's an easier push-up to do than the old school push-up, but it does relate a little bit more to a combat type of thing. I know some of my friends that are in better shape, I had them try it out, try the old push-up way compared to this new push-up way, and they feel like this new push-up way is easier, but at the same time also more time consuming. Where before you're trying to do the push-ups and you could, knock out a bunch of push-ups pretty fast. This one takes a little bit more time, so it's a little harder to probably knock out the push-ups at a really fast pace like some individuals used to be able to do.
The sprint drag carry is the fourth event. The event is timed and tests a soldier's movement skill under anaerobic conditions: sprinting, dragging, carrying, turning, and moving sideways.
This is definitely a multi kind of tasking kind of one that you have to do, and you have to kind of keep track. What am I supposed to do next? What am I supposed to do next? I know people are going to be shouting out commands. Grab this, grab that, do this, do that. Otherwise, you have to kind of almost memorize it.
The event replicates moving a casualty to safety, moving supplies, or moving under fire. The leg tuck is the fifth event. It develops upper body, abdominal, and hip strength. From a straight arm hang, soldiers must raise their legs up so their knees or thighs touch their elbows. The number of successfully completed repetitions is counted over a 2-minute period.
It's kind of like pull-ups, but more abdominal, I feel like.
This event replicates climbing up and over walls, obstacles, or exiting disabled vehicles. The 2-mile run is the sixth event. The event tests aerobic capacity.
And a 2-mile run is really the only one kind of staying
to and from contact.
from the old one.
At the completion of the 2-mile run, the Army Combat Fitness Test is completed.
So the 2-mile run is really the only one's kind of the same, but the time standards change. And that's kind of what we're getting into next is a little bit of the standards. So at first, when I did my original video, they didn't have the standards yet. I just knew that it was going to be age neutral, gender neutral, and they were possibly going to have it based on your MOS as far as what the minimum and maximum standards would be. They now have those standards, and we're going to take a look at those standards from another video that is from the Army, not specifically from the Army's YouTube page, but I will leave links both to this video and the explanation video down in the description down below. So if you want to check out both videos in their entirety, you can do so. But as what we have is the U.S. Forces Fitness YouTube channel, kind of giving a little bit of an explanation of, why they do this PT test, how the grading criteria works, and that's the kind of the main point we're going to take away from this video, because the video is really long. It's like 40-minute long video, but the main part I want to focus on is where he kind of starts talking about the grading criteria for this new Army Combat Fitness test, because that's kind of a little bit where confusion lies, even like originally with me. Like I said, originally with me and other people I've talked to, they said that it's going to be based on MOS, and sort of, but not really. It's really based on the type of unit that you're in. And in this video, you're going to hear that explanation as to how that's kind of broken down, because I've seen several videos, I've seen several people talking about it, where they're saying that no, if you're a 11 Bravo, then you're going to have the higher standards, where if you're a cook or a finance person, you're going to have the lower standard. And that's not going to be the case. And you'll kind of see why here in a little bit. So here at this point in the video, a lot before it has been talking about the logistics of, implementing the new PT test and how they've kind of decided on this new PT test, to replace the previous one. And it's at this point here where this individual that is one of the people that have been, working to create the new Army Combat Fitness test is explaining why it's gender neutral, why it's age neutral. And I think that's important because I believe that it's good to have a age and gender neutral physical fitness test for the military, but there's a lot of people that don't think that that's a good thing. Some people feel that it's not fair that a, say, 45-year-old male has to be able to do the same standard as an 18-year-old male. But I like the explanation that he gives in this video to explain why it needs to be that set standard.
Okay, I'd like to highlight a couple of things on this slide. First off is the National Defense Authorization Act 2015. That says that, bottom line, occupational career field standards or evaluation will not be done on the basis of gender. This test is not just gender neutral, it is age neutral. It is neutral to size, it's neutral to how tall you are, how short you are, the color of your skin, what religion you are. Combat does not discriminate. It doesn't matter. The bullet coming at you does not matter. They don't care about anything except that you're a United States Army soldier. And that is why we are neutral in all aspects of this test.
And that's what I like about that, is that it doesn't matter. Just like he's saying, the insurgents don't care if you're a 55-year-old male and that person's an 18-year-old male. They're going to treat you the same. They're going to be trying to kill you, and you need to be physically fit to be able to deal with that. The insurgents don't care if you're a male or if you're a woman. You need to be able to meet those standards to be able to live up to what you're supposed to be trained to do in the Army. So that's why I think that it is good having that gender neutral, that age neutral. Is it going to be difficult for some individuals? Yes, but the military is not supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be for everyone to be able to easily do. It's supposed to be for people who are in great shape, people who are well disciplined and everything to, be, successful in the military. Not just anybody can join, right? And that's kind of what this will be able to do, I think, a little bit better.
We've graded this by moderate physical demand categories, the 140 MOSs in the United States Army, and then significant demands and heavy physical demands based on the Centers of Excellence and the studies that they have done on those occupational skills and what's necessary to do that specific occupation in combat. And that puts you in one of those three categories, and the standards that you must meet for that MOS, that skill, is either the gold or the gray or the black. Now, for the field test coming up, which just started actually in October, for 60 battalions across the United States Army, we're going to look at individuals being tested by their military occupational skill, and an individual being gold, gray, or black. And then we're looking at some units. For instance, if you're in an infantry battalion, no matter what MOS you are, half of the units going through the field test, 30 of them, are going to be studied off of the ability for every soldier in that unit, no matter what their MOS is, to be able to execute the black standard because they're in an infantry battalion. And we're going to use the large-scale normative data off the 60 battalion field test to better understand what is in the realm of possible with respect to unit standards or individual standards.
So this is what it's kind of talking about there. From the way I understand it, from the way he's explaining it, is that they're testing it two different ways. They're testing it, yes, the one way that a lot of people believe that it was going to be, which is based on your MOS. And it sounds like that's what they're doing. They're testing it that way. But they're also in some ways testing it, like he was talking about, if you're in an infantry battalion, but you're a finance person, you're a cook person, it doesn't matter. You're in that infantry battalion, so you're going to be held to that black standard, that highest standard of being able to, score to be able to meet the minimum standards. So it sounds like they're testing both. They haven't yet, I don't think, locked in the actual standard yet because they just started in October, just last month as of making this video, to try to figure out which one is going to work best. And then probably from that, before it becomes concrete and set of the set standard, then they're going to determine, is it going to be based in MLS or is it going to be based on the type of unit they're in? So next in the video, he's getting into those standards, what those minimums are. And I've heard, different, kind of explanations or different kind of gripes or complaints about it. Some people saying that, these are great standards, maybe they're too high of standards, maybe they're too easy of standards. I feel like until you actually do it, you don't really know. When you look at it based on the numbers, it does sound like it's lower. But again, I think he gives a kind of a good explanation in this video where he talks about there's multiple events and you're going through multiple events and then doing the run, where the run, it does have a longer, kind of leeway on the time compared to the old standard PT test. Do we have more time to do the 2-mile run? And people are looking at that and being like, you have like a lot of extra minutes to be able to do this 2-mile run. But now at the same time, you're also not, instead of doing 2 events, push-ups and sit-ups, you have 5 events you have to compete before you get to that 2-mile run. So I feel like you're going to be a lot more tired. So he's going to explain a little bit about the standards, how they're kind of graded, and what the minimum standards are for the different ones, and how he feels that this is actually harder than the PT test because of so many events, and that you'll be smoked by the end, and it's going to be very difficult to actually score well on this PT test because it's harder. But until you actually do it, I don't really know.
Now I get a lot of questions about, well, wait a minute, you only have to do one. I only have to run at 21 minutes for the 2-mile run, and they think that's easy until you go through 5 events of pre-fatigue before you execute the 2-mile run. The current PT test is a 1-to-1 work-to-rest ratio. This test is about a 2.5 to 3-to-1 work-to-rest ratio. It will smoke you, and it will test all components of fitness. And so when you look at these standards, I will tell you, somebody that can score 60 points on all 6 of these, I bet you can probably score 300 on the current PT test pretty easily.
So, like he's saying, he's saying that the standards are pretty low when you look at them on paper, but when it actually comes down to doing them, it's a lot more difficult. So I'd be curious, if there's anybody out there that has actually done this, what it actually feels like actually doing it. A lot of people can talk crap. They look at those numbers and they're like, this is super easy. This is way too easy to do. But until I think you actually do it and actually, get the actual experience of doing that physical fitness test with these 6 events, I don't think you really have a good kind of judgment as to if this is really easy or if this is really hard. So I'd be curious to talk to people who've maybe already done this PT test, that how it actually works and how strenuous it is. Is it just like he says? Is it something where if you can score really well on this, then you're probably someone who scored like 300s and maxed all the other events on the other PT test? So then he goes into basically the implementation of it. So we'll listen in on how he kind of is talking about when it is going to start taking effect. That way maybe you have a better idea of if you need to start training for this PT test or still focus on the current one that they're doing based on maybe when you're going to be going to basic training or when you're going to be joining the Army.
All right, this talks about the field test and the rollout. So from October 1st of this year till October of 2019, 60 battalions, I'm going to show them to you across the United States Army, representing every type of unit in the United States Army, are going to be conducting a field test. They'll take 2 of these tests of those 60 units, and we're going to look at how do we administrate this. This gives us a chance to rewrite 12 major policies for the United States Army: reclassification, separations, evaluations, promotions, etc. A lot of policies are tied to the physical fitness test, have to be rewritten over this year. We'll be able to better understand the scoring standards, the initial scoring standards that we have put in, which are the initial operating capability standards, so that we can determine the FOC standards in 2019. And it allows us, quite frankly, to field the equipment to the entire United States Army, because on 1 October 19, this goes hot, this goes live.
There you go.
1 October 2019, the entire United States Army will implement this test. And then from then until 2020, October of 2020, somewhere between there, and it is going to be event-based, not time-based. The chief and the secretary, sometime after 1 October 19, and it could be 2 October 19, say, bam, this is the test of record. It's going to happen somewhere in that 365-day period. The chief and the secretary have maintained their decision authority as to when they want to execute that based on how the field test goes, how the fielding of the equipment goes, and how leaders across the force move out and get after this test over the next year.
So there you go. It sounds like there's still, some things to hash out, some things to test before this becomes official. So there's still some questions that we don't have answers to, but this does give you a little bit of an understanding as to, what to expect, what's being in the works, and what possibly you could be doing if you are looking to join the Army here soon. If you're currently in the Army, then this could be the new standard you may have to implement soon. Now, like I said, I'm going to leave the link down in the description to both those videos. The Army's video that kind of breaks down each event, as well as this video here that is really long. It's 40 minutes, but it's a whole briefing that that this individual gave that includes, the why they're using this PT test, the standards, and what is happening during this testing time frame that they are implementing in the Army. So my questions to you, leave them in the comments. What do you think of this new Army Combat Fitness Test? Do you think it's better than the previous one? Do you think it's going to be good? A lot of people think it's going to cause a lot of people to get injured, but I think it's really going to, show, who is physically capable of being in the Army and who is not. So I would like to hear your information, your comments, what you feel about the new Army Combat Fitness Test down in the comments. So leave those comments down below. Well, thanks for hanging out for this video. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up button. If you want to check out some other videos, I got some recommendations, some links down in the description for social media and everything else. But thank you so much for hanging out. I'm ThatChrisChaos. I'll see you next time. See ya.